Well, that was fun.
What's our intro going to be?
Our intro is going to be...
About the devil.
Yes, this is about the devil.
Ah!
This is about laughing.
It's about mirth.
It's about mirth.
It's about bringing light to darkness.
Bringing light to the darkness.
It's about digestion and tight assholes.
Yep.
What else?
Love and light.
That you're actually the devil, Alex.
I am actually the devil.
Wah,
and the
wah,
devil
wah.
actually loves you and just wants your ego to fucking die so you can have a good fucking time.
Yeah, that's actually what the devil is.
That's actually what the devil is.
Word up.
Word up. Hello, Chase.
Thank God. We're on. We're live.
We're on.
We're live.
We're live after many false starts.
Hello, everybody. How are we doing today?
Oh, I'm doing good.
How are you doing, Alex?
I'm doing good.
You're doing fucking great.
I'm doing fucking great. Today is a great, great day.
Tell me about that. Why? It is.
Because we're released.
We released some shit yesterday.
Chase finally learned how to laugh at the darkness.
I did.
I feel so much better.
This has been the dynamic of our relationship, and an area of tension.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been reflected in every single thing. Me having fucking constipated stomach aches. Him being able to like literally eat his brains out and shit all the time. Just everything passes through him. Everything just passes through Alex. Everything just passes through him. He doesn't hold on to anything. He doesn't take anything seriously. He doesn't stress. He doesn't
Usually.
This is mostly. Lately, especially not. But like this motherfucker will shit 3 times a day. Like, it's just because we've been talking about digestion, we've been talking about humor, we've been talking about light, we've been talking about dark. But yesterday was a big breakthrough. We had a big fucking breakthrough yesterday.
Mm-hmm. The only thing I take seriously is your happiness. That's the only thing that brings me down. Makes me sad. If you're sad, I'm sad.
Aww. I got so dark yesterday.
So dark.
I got so dark.
Dude, just like watching the Kardashians just completely deflated on the couch, crying.
I got my family has YouTube TV, and I got hooked up, and I'm like, what's on TV? When I just go into dark spaces, when I have no creative anything, and I'm like, I'm gonna sit on the couch and just like live a meaningless life, an empty life. So I just go to the bottom of it, and I was like, oh, the Kardashians, what's going on with there?
You were just empty. I sat down to watch it with you, and you were just completely like, just emotionless and empty. And then like 5 minutes in, you just turned to me with like tears in your eyes, like, I'm so sad.
With the Kardashians?
I don't know what was on. Maybe it wasn't the Kardashians. It was something.
That was yesterday. We weren't watching the Kardashians yesterday.
What were we watching?
It was the fucking gymnastics.
Oh, we were watching the gymnastics. That's right. Which is almost as empty to me as the Kardashians.
No, you had left the house, and I finally was like, and then I finally like let myself expose my sadness to you.
Sadness. Yes.
Yeah, and
all day you were like, I'm okay. Why do you feel upset? Why are you being so codependent all day? And I was like, because I can feel the darkness under the surface. I can't help it.
Fuck off. Fuck off. Let me be in my dark place.
Get out of my energetic vagina.
This is what Alex does. He always pushes my ego because I'm like, I want to stay in my darkness. I want to stay in my victimhood. I want to like have this narrative and let me just sit in my pit. 'Cause what did you tell me yesterday? You were like, it was the saddest thing. What did you say? You're like, you're so I was like, I was doing something that was just so dark. And you're like, I like the way I put myself down, the way I like, you just went to the pit of it. You don't remember what you said?
I don't remember what I said.
Oh God, it was so funny.
It
was so intense because it was like, God, you're right. It's like
you always would make fun of me for being emo, and then
oh my God.
This is the magic mirror of reality. Whatever you judge others for.
Oh my God. And this is what's the ultimate mindfuck about our relationship. I told him this because, like, I used to have my ups and downs, but I would have them privately and in my own little cave and, go process them at my altar and cry it out and blah, blah, blah. Now I have him here being like, what's wrong? What's going on? And, and I can't escape.
Because I feel everything. I mean, I eventually let you go and just let you go do it. But
yeah, and then I came back.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, but the breakthrough we had yesterday was really, really, really profound, and it happened late in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
It was bed pillow talk.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Pillow talk.
Mm-hmm.
We started talking about, because I get really angry about, he listens to this comedian, Tim Dillon, and I get really mad about it because Tim Dillon's a fucking asshole. But he's also funny. He's also really fucking funny. But he's like this entitled white man. Oh, we started talking about entitlement.
Yeah.
And
he's like a gay entitled George Carlin a little bit or something.
He's not as cool as George Carlin.
You don't think he's maybe not, but it's a similar style of.
He's like a
humor.
modern day like American. I don't even know what he is. I don't know.
He's a gay ex-child actor from Long Island with a schizophrenic mother, and like. He's just really.
Well, he's crazy, and that's why you like him.
I like crazy.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
fun.
because he's wild. He doesn't hold anything back, and that's what Alex always really appreciates is not holding anything back.
Yeah,
and it was making me. I get mad because I feel how entitled, because he just complains about everything, and he's such a fucking entitled white man. And it's just, he complains and complains. He's talking about how he's moving out of Austin because there's no sushi. There's only one sushi, and it's fun. I know.
He's
I get
a caricature of himself.
I know. For some reason, he pisses me off, and so we went way into that, and we started talking about entitlement, and then I was just talking about how, like, there's this whole part of me that doesn't feel entitled to like, that's really the deepest part of it. This is why I can't laugh about things.
Yeah.
Even though I am Italian and I love to laugh, and that's all I do is really like to laugh. I mean, there's a reason why you and I are together, but there's these parts of me that are like, I hold, like, because it's this feeling of entitlement, and that's what pisses me off about some white men piss me off, and I was really, really, really reconciling with that yesterday. Because
it's like they feel like they have a right to exist. They feel like they have a right to be where they're at. And that was the same thing with the Kardashians too. We were talking about this, like, why? Because we asked, like, why are these people successful, right? Like, what actually makes someone successful, even if they hold like these like negative qualities of narcissism or all these different things. And we came to the conclusion that the only thing they share in common is they feel like they have a right to be where they're at.
They're entitled.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, for many, many years, I have lived in a space of feeling it's apologetic and not entitled. And it's the energy of the feminine.
Yeah. And it hurts.
It hurts. It's constantly feeling bad for the earth, for humanity, for every single person out there, for everything that is suffering. And it's if I dismiss it, or if I'm not feeling it to the deepest degree, then I'm numb to it. Because this has been the deepest imbalance of humanity up until this point in time, I believe, is that there's been this, masculine energy that's like the exponential energies of it, right? The max amounts of it, right? So the end point of the masculine has been this absolute numbness, and the end point of the feminine has been this crippling sensitivity where it can't do anything. And they're both actually similar energies, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, I just was hitting this point where I was like, I can't keep going into this hole of my entire life. I feel bad. I can't allow myself to not feel bad about something that is like if somebody's hurting, anything. And it's this thing that's been really illuminating for me with Alex. And we've done so much freaking work together. It's amazing, because I used to be so mad about this, was that he would be like, don't worry about it. Like, I'd be like, and then I'd be like, you don't care. You don't care about the world. You don't care about humanity. You don't care about all the people suffering, especially intense during the election year, right?
Which is not true.
It's absolutely not true.
I
You're
do
like
care. I love everyone.
You do. You care deeply about humanity.
Yeah.
But he doesn't let it affect him in the same way that I have, to the point of, and that's what creates the darkness inside of me, the resentment, the shadow, the parts where I don't let myself fully shine, and I get mad if people do, and then I say that they're numb and they're entitled, when really they're just allowing themselves to express themselves and exist and live on this planet normally, breathing in and out, where I'm like, I can't actually breathe in all the way. I don't deserve it. Like, I need to, because so many people are suffering, I need to suffer with them. I need to be down in the mud with them, feeling their pain for them, because somebody has to, right? And I'm finally coming to this realization that that is not the way forward for me any longer.
That's not even helpful to those people. That doesn't help them process the things. It just digs the hole deeper. Then you're all in this foxhole together of suffering and pain. And we've been talking about, like, actually, like, digesting emotions, because this is not about, like, spiritually bypassing. That's the numb thing you're talking about, right? Where it's like you're feeling this pain, but you're just being like, I feel great, I don't feel anything, you know what I mean? That's not it either, and you can tell when that's going on. It's about actually, like, processing it and flipping it and turning it on its head. And that's why we've been talking so much about comedians and humor and stuff, is it's like, that's not spiritual bypassing. It's actually processing, like, emotionally processing these things in a way that's, like, not heavy and painful and damaging.
And holding and hurting.
Holding on to the pain.
Holding on to the pain. Holding on to the fear.
It's moving it, releasing it.
And that's why you were saying that, because Alex listens to a lot of comedians, and he listens to this show called Kill Tony, because he and I both have a hard time finding podcasts and stuff we like. So he listens to a lot of comedians. And yes, basically we're like, comedians are the best comedians are actually the greatest spiritual teachers, right?
Yeah.
And
healers.
And my dad was a really, 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 really funny guy, and was a comedian himself. And so I have this energy inside of me, but there's this feminine part of me that has held onto this guilt and shame for the world. It's this internalized bullshit where I, for some reason, feel like I need to feel the pain for everyone all the fucking time. And Alex is like, don't worry about it. Eat a piece of cake, drink a margarita, and chill. This is what do you say? This is Earth. What do you say? It's Earth. It's not Earth School. It's Earth.
It's talking about life is a carnival, but that song by the band. It's like a fucking. It's a place we come to. I don't know. Like, we can have fun here. Life can be a sort of party. We have this whole material realm.
Well, there's
to
this
work
whole
with.
thing with seriousness, right? And like the seriousness and the criticality. And of course, this isn't for everybody, but I think in this era, this is really fucking important. I think this is might be the key. This is one of the massive keys to shifting the paradigm we're in right now, because it's becoming so condensed with fear, right? And paranoia and all this shit, right? And the only way out of it is to not take it seriously. Yeah. And when I hear Alex say that, that's why this conversation is great, because I'm somebody that's actually learning this process. Because if you just say this, a lot of people are like, well, whatever. Yeah. But I'm actually been listening, and because he's right. He's right. My ego has taken massive death. I've just been like, my ego has just been like slayed over and over and over and over again, and I keep trying to hold it up, and I'm like, I'll go through these deaths, and I feel so great, and then the ego will come back, and I'm like, no, I can't live like this. I have to have these rules. I have to have this shame. I have to have this pain to keep me in line, to keep me with these boundaries. This is what keeps me safe. And I'm like, has this really freaking worked for me the past 37 years? Like, no, it's been a lot of depression and darkness and not feeling good enough and not entitled enough and apologetic and all this shit, right? Yeah. And I'm like, and I see Alex, and he's just actually like enjoying his life, and I'm like, this is what it's supposed to be. Yeah.
So I feel like if you when you die, you're gonna look back at all that stuff and be like, oh my God, what was I doing? Yeah. Like, this was all gonna end eventually. Why did I spend it in this way? Where it's like you're trying to protect this thing and keep it perfect and pristine forever or something in some way, and it's really a dynamic shifting thing that's gonna die and end, and you're just what is that quote in Moonstruck where Nicolas Cage is like, well, we're actually here to just make a mess of ourselves.
Yeah.
It's kind of, not in like a miserable way, but like you're supposed to just like fuck around a little bit here, have a good time. That's what light working actually is, making light of the all the darkness here. That's what a light worker actually is, making light. Lightness as in weight, lightness as in like light, shining light on things. It's all about bringing goodness and humor to everything. And that's what flips it around.
We were listening to George Carlin this morning because we started talking about comedians and the best comedians, and we were listening to George Carlin, and he was God, he's amazing. He's the master, dude.
Going into the darkest places, going into
the deepest, darkest places, and speaking the absolute truth to it.
Yeah.
Somehow
he was making fun of the death sentence. He's like, when they give people the lethal injection, they swab their arms so they don't get an infection.
Well, he was talking about how stupid paranoid we are about germs in this country,
which is very apropos of this
moment.
He
had this amazing fucking set about germs that was just like, he was like, you know what? I don't even wash my hands when I take a shit, motherfuckers. What did he say?
You know what? I wash my hands. I wash my hands when I shit on them, and that only happens like 2 or 3 times a week. More during the holiday season.
And he was talking about when he was a kid, he used to swim in the Hudson, and there was raw sewage. He's like, I used to swim in raw sewage, and you know what? It built up my immune system. Nobody in my neighborhood got polio.
Yeah, your immune system needs practice,
it needs practice.
Yeah, it's like polio was the big scare when I was a kid, and no one in my neighborhood got polio because we were tempered in raw sewage and raw shit. And that's sort of the way comedy is. Like, you're just swimming in the darkness. You're swimming in just jokes about rape and race.
Yeah,
and
he had this whole set about rape. Mm-hmm. And I swear to God, man, even 6 months ago, if I would have seen that, I'd been like, what? He's joking about rape? That is so not funny. And today I was just like, God, it felt so good to just laugh and laugh about it and laugh about how silly, like, we have to laugh.
Yeah.
We have to freaking laugh about the most serious things in the world.
Yeah, talking about the immune system, humor is the spiritual immune system. Humor is like your spiritual white blood cells killing the darkness,
Yes.
And it needs to go to those darkest places, because that's stuff we all face. Death, violence, all these horrors of this fucking planet. We all face them. We all are aware of them. We all know they exist at some point in our lives, unless we're just like, I don't know, it's some incredibly sheltered person. I can't imagine going through life and not knowing that all these things exist. And when once you know they exist, you have to process them in some way. And the way you process them is with light. You don't process them with darkness and fear and shame. That doesn't work, man. That just makes it worse, and it sits in your body and gives you illnesses and stuff. We've been listening to Anita Morgiani, and she's a person who had a near-death experience with cancer, and she came to the conclusion, like, what created her disease was the fear of it. She was afraid of it, right? And what would have released that fear, what she had like afterwards, was good humor about the whole thing. Once she almost died, she like had this lightness about her. Like, oh, this is all ridiculous.
She's like, I don't even care. I just want to go watch the sunset and eat some ice cream.
Yeah.
That was what she wanted to do after she died. Yeah. She wanted to listen to Cyndi Lauper, eat ice cream, and like watch the sun.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
And she was like, this is all ridiculous, everybody. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what the conversation, because last night I was talking about how sometimes I get into these fear spirals and I can't get out of them, right? And Alex was like, the only way out is like through levity, like where you have to there is a point where you just laugh at how ridiculous it is.
You have to look at yourself honestly and laugh at yourself.
And so today, and it's really interesting because today, because we were also going into, he was talking about humorism, right? You were talking about humorism.
Yeah, medical humorism.
Well, which was invented, the Greeks invented humorism. And it's connected to the 4 elements, and it was the mainstream Western medical theory until
the 1800s, like germ theory, until germ theory happened in like the 1850s or something like that.
Well, humorism also, it was connected to, it was a sanguine, blood, bile.
It's the 4 elements.
Yeah, earth. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but it's all about disposition. Like, by humors, they're essentially speaking on disposition. So the symptoms of being overbalanced in one of the humors would essentially be a different kind of personality, a different sort of attitude, a different sort of overall disposition. That's what a humor is. So to have good humor, you're like a balanced person, and to have bad humor, you're an imbalanced as a person. So if you have a bad sense of humor, you're imbalanced and unhealthy.
Right.
You know, and if you have a good sense of humor, you emotionally process all these things. You take in all this darkness of the world and process it.
This can't not be any more clearly elucidated between Alex and I, because literally he can process anything. He can digest anything. And we talk about that symbolically. He also does it materially when he used to not be able to.
Right.
He had a lot of issues with that. And so that's what I've been working with lately, because like I get constipated. My stomach hurts a lot.
Yeah.
I've been having tummy troubles, right?
And you know what? During that time, I was really mad at the world too. I was really, really upset about the way things were, and really, really dark, and extremely hyper liberal to an insane degree, where you're upset about everything, all the unfairness in the world, all the chaos, and just living in that darkness without processing it through some levity. It kills your body, man. I had a really serious autoimmune disorder and struggled so much with health and IBS and all these fucking things for years and years and years. And I got out of that through levity, this sort of levity that gradually came in, and the more that came in, the more things were easier for me.
Yeah, it's incredible. We're having there's some serious awakening happening over here, because today I just was like, and it's funny because it makes me feel chaotic sometimes. Like, it feels like chaos, but the more and more I realize that it's actually freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And it's freedom from this criticism, because it's really this internal criticism.
Yeah.
And just releasing that.
Mm-hmm.
Just releasing that. It's funny because today, like, I'm becoming really hyper aware of how I hold my gut.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can feel...
Which is the emotional brain. The gut is the emotional brain, essentially. It's where you process all your emotions, literally. Like, there's a bunch of neurological stuff going on there. The gut has, like... most of the synapses. I'm not a neurologist, but that's a scientific thing, that there's a lot of neurological shit in the gut. It's literally where we process emotions. We digest food there, and we digest emotions there. Mm-hmm. They're kind of one and the same. The food is the symbolic physical representation of emotional, energetic content. You know what I mean? That's the as above, so below thing of this situation. Is the emotions are the above, and the food is the symbolic representation down below. You know how emotional food is for people? Food is so emotional. It reminds you of moments in your childhood. It gives you these amazing things. It's like, some people talk about it being connected to like sex somehow. It's like,
it's literally how we transmute the material world.
It's the symbolic
It's our body transmuting materiality.
Mm-hmm.
So how our digestion is how we work, how we transmute, how we work with materiality.
Mm-hmm.
Can we actually process the earth realm?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Can we process it, or
Right.
can we do it? Does it get stuck?
Yeah.
Exactly. Is it too fixed? Is it too hardened? Is it too tight?
Mm-hmm.
Are we fearful? Are we squeezing it because we're angry, we're hurt, we're wounded, and it can't move? It can't move through, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. And everything that happens here on this material plane is a symbolic representation of what's happening on the energetic plane. That's what's meant by as above, so below. And so just like our physical body has a stomach, our energy body has a stomach too. And the food is just emotional content. How we consume that and how we digest it.
This is blowing my mind, you guys. I don't know. It's weird because you've told me this before, but today I'm like,
it's really getting in there.
I get it.
Yeah. And we can consume a lot. Like, our bodies are incredible. Both our physical and energetic bodies are incredible in their ability to process anything that's going on. And we can process so much more than we give ourselves credit for. What it takes is the right disposition, is the right humor with it. You know, if you like eat a food and it upsets your tummy and you're like, oh, I upset my tummy, why did I do this to myself? I'm so horrible, I'm so bad, I shouldn't have consumed this thing. You feel horrible. And just like if you have trouble watching like horror movies or torture scenes or all these dark things, because you don't have a disposition to actually process that darkness, you know, and it sits in your body the same way as if you ate some like horrible food, you know, but we can actually process all of that. It's just about finding the right disposition with that. And what that takes is a sort of a looseness of ego, a looseness of beliefs. You can still have your ethics and morals and everything, but you need to balance it with a certain level of humility. We're talking about humility, right? And humility's connection to humor. It's the same sort of root word.
Right.
And so what you need to process the darkest stuff is some level of humility, because if you don't have that humility, you then spend all your energy judging and condemning the darkness and be like, oh my God, why is this planet this way? This is such a horrible, horrible place. And you're not actually processing it and letting it go and moving it through.
Well, we were watching last night. You were telling me about this like freaking killer Latina woman that was on Kill Tony, the show, which is for brand new. Anybody can come on and be a comedian, and then these real comedians roast them. Mm-hmm. And usually it's so like painful to watch, but Alex loves to listen to it. But he's like, you were telling me about this one chick that came on and she just like killed it, right? And so we watched it because he was talking about how you work the temperament, the humor that you work with, the way, the disposition, why her disposition was different, why she was able to go on there and just like give it back, kill the set. And so we watched it, and what was it?
Well, it's she felt she had a right to be there.
Yeah, we were talking about entitlement.
She didn't feel embarrassed to be on the stage. She didn't feel like she had to earn it by trying to be funny.
But we were also talking about the idea of throwing things back, and that's what we were talking about last night. Is like when you're a comedian and that humility and that ego energy, you have to like be able to laugh at your own,
at yourself.
You can't. There can be no rigidity. There has to be this constant improvisational push-pull, laughing at yourself. Like anything you take too seriously, people will just kill you for it.
Yeah, they'll destroy you.
They'll destroy you. So the more that's power. That is actually true power, is actually being able to take your darkest things, the things that, this is because I think this is what at the root of all of these digestive issues and disposition is taking things too seriously, being really rigid, not being able to laugh at it, right? So if you can erase that part of yourself and begin to laugh and like take a punch and give one back, and you're in this loose energy with it. Yeah. And that's what it was. Like, what did they say to her afterwards? They were like, God, this was an incredible set, blah, 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 blah. And then she was like, she was like a Latina woman from LA. And the first thing he said was like, so what gas station have you worked at? What gas? And then
which is a racist.
So fucking racist. And she laughed, and then she was like, I just finished. I worked at a gas station for 2 years.
Yeah. Didn't defend her at all.
Completely owned it. Yeah. Just like rolled with the punches. Just just let herself laugh at herself, which just starting to think about that for me is like, whew, man, because I can laugh at myself, but then there's like these things that, you know, I hold inside that I just for some reason internally can't. And today I'm just starting to be like, fuck it. Yeah.
We talk about like rolling with the punches, and you're also like, you're a body worker, massage therapist, right? And I'm thinking about like these things seem like punches, seem like the world is beating you up. People are beating up on you. But if you like relax and allow it to happen, it turns into more of a massage. Like massages are like painful, right? But if you actually like receive it in some way, it turns into something that's more just working out all the rigid parts of your body rather than just beating the hell out of you.
So that you can truly just be one with the flow.
Yeah.
And be in a constant receptive state. And then that's where true creative power and abundance come in. That's when you're like at your highest, expression of humanity.
Right.
When you release the rigidity is the fear. It blocks the flow. When you open up and you like massage all that, it's just ego. Yeah, it's the ego.
It's just ego. It's just ego.
It's just ego. It's that easy.
And every time has its own ego around certain things. And I think the really hard part about this modern era for me is I consider myself like a liberal, socially conscious person, but over the last decade or so, it's like there's been a lot of ego building up around the liberally, socially conscious thing. So then it's like, oh my God, like how do I reconcile this? Like, cause like if this needs to be brought down in some way, but then I appear like the enemy to all these things that I actually agree with on some core level.
That was the biggest thing when you and I first got together.
Yeah, it's so hard.
It was so intense.
Because you're like, are you a Trumper? Are you a nihilist?
Well, that was,
all these things. I'm like, no, dude, I just don't like ego. Just y'all need to chill the fuck out.
Everybody needs to get off their fucking high horse.
Yes, it's exhausting. It's exhausting.
It is
gross.
exhausting.
It's dark. It's
boring.
It's boring, dude. We're not here to be bored.
Well, it's all shame. It's all based in shame and right and wrong. And people are trying to correct the cultures and all the deep injustices that have been been on this planet for the past freaking 10,000 years. But
the only way you can do it is with humor.
Yeah.
It's the only way you can truly do it. Otherwise, you're going to enter into an ego war. You're going to enter into a shadow war.
Yeah. Righteous.
Self-righteousness. Chill the fuck out. Kill
Well,
them with kindness.
You were talking about people like who are even like when they're being tortured.
Oh yeah.
There's like stories of people being tortured and just laughing.
Like saints and stuff. Yeah, we're just being literally like pulled limb from limb and still just like
laughing.
Yeah. It's just like, dude, what are you doing? This is ridiculous. You're so mad. Why are you so mad? And it's almost like that, like they're living in a simulation video game sort of thing almost, right? Death isn't real. Death is not. What's real is how you feel and your humors and all this stuff. And someone who's like torturing someone is like, dude, what are you doing to yourself? Oh my God, you're living in such darkness and anger. And that's a ridiculous thing to do when it's all just a game, a place for us to enjoy our lives.
So if somebody's taking something really seriously, and they get triggered by something that somebody says, even if they're a pretty laid back person, but then somebody does something and they take it seriously, how do they back themselves out of that? How do they release that?
Find the humor in it. I mean, it's always contextual, right? It's always this contextual dance, and you have to really feel into the energy of things and know there's always two sides to any coin. So whenever you get triggered and take offense to something in a way that feels really painful, there's an opportunity here for you. It's like a knot that's been hit on. There's an opportunity for you to try and find the other side and try and find the humor in this dark, dark situation, which can be deeply challenging, but that's the challenge of this planet. That's the sort of soul academy thing that we're here to do. This is our karma, essentially, is like these things that we've taken too seriously and have so much pain over. We're confronted with them and we're given an opportunity to flip it and see it from the highest perspective, this high, deathless perspective, this true God-like perspective. And see the ridiculousness of this situation. If we truly are all one, if we truly are this deathless, infinite spiritual being creating this magical place. This is a ridiculous situation we found ourselves in. You know,
if we're infinite consciousness,
if we're infinite consciousness,
why are we gonna fret over a fucking cupcake?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm starting to be like.
And why, like, racism becomes ridiculous, sexuality becomes ridiculous, economics becomes ridiculous, caste systems, any of this stuff is all just like, okay, what? You know, it's really, really hard when you feel something in the physical world as being really, really real and happening to you. But the truth is you're always in control of this ship and you guide it through your disposition.
Well, I'm just on this journey, like, with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm just jumping in. And, like, today I just ate a piece of cake and I drank a margarita. Yeah. And
living a little risky.
That's what Alex said today. He's like, I just want to start living riskier.
Just a little bit.
I want us to start living a little bit, have more fun.
I don't want to be crazy. I don't want to, like, go, like, full on, like, 90s comedian.
Well, then you showed me that one guy that
I don't
want
to go Richard Pryor. Yeah, exactly. I was like, this is the maximum extreme. I showed her Joey Diaz.
I don't know what that is. He was like, this is what he looks like. And he's like, he's so fat. And I was like, oh my, is that a model for me?
I showed you your nightmare.
Yeah.
I showed you your nightmare. It's like, look, it exists. Your nightmare is real. With a smile on my face.
But it was funny because that's what's been so great. And I don't know if anybody listening to this has this. I'm sure you probably do have this relationship with food. I think most humans have a fucked up relationship with food.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you eat anything that's decadent, you automatically feel bad about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you maybe maybe you've done the work where you feel great in the moment. You're like, I'm really going to receive this. I'll do that. I'll be like, I'm really going to receive this. The second it's over, I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
I need to go to the gym. I need to take my fiber. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Today I just ate that fucking cake and I was like, fuck it.
It's ridiculous. That's
silly. Been the thing lately. Cake has been our thing lately. I'm like, because it's like,
cake.
I love cake so much. It's like the most decadent, sweet thing that most people are only supposed to have like once a year for your birthday or on somebody's birthday. It's like people don't usually eat cake, but it's like, we should eat cake. We should eat cake more often. If everything you're saying is true, that we're just these cosmic beings. Because all Alex is, he's like, we're here to enjoy ourselves on Earth. If we're going to be these cosmic entities here on Earth and living this ridiculous existence, let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy it to the max.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, shit. That means I want some cake.
Yeah.
I want some cake.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been
also,
eating lately.
Like working out is fun. You
I
love
love
fucking boxing.
Too. Yeah,
you know,
dude.
there's.
And so that's the thing. It's like I used to be like, I have to box and eat only protein and I can have one day a week where I let myself have something sweet and yes. And now I'm like, I'm going to have some cake. I'm going to go box. I'm going to fucking do a podcast.
I think what we really love is contrast. We love contrast. And chaos is exciting because it's constant contrast. But like...
But you love structure too.
I love structure too. Yeah, it's
ultimate paradox as human.
Yeah, man. And like speaking of Joey Diaz once again, like lately I think he's lost a lot of weight. He started doing jiu-jitsu, all this shit. Because someone who's lived their entire life that way gets old, man. Everything gets old eventually. Everything gets old. You know? Structure gets old, chaos gets old. Indulgence gets old, asceticism gets old. It's all you just you know, do what you want, man. That's what we're here to do. It's a timeless place. If we're truly living timelessly and deathlessly, what would you do? Imagine that we're truly real. And like, if you're someone who's lived your life extremely rigidly and in fear, well, for a little while that might look insane because you're like, it might like look like you're living like Grand Theft Auto life, you know what I mean, just doing crazy shit. But eventually, like, okay, I got that out of my system. Like, it's just like this that you've been holding back. It's like me with the
cake. I'm like, give me the cake.
You've been holding back for forever.
Give me this cake.
And then you're like, is it really not real? are you sure it's not real? And when you finally take that in for a second, you're like, I'm going to eat the whole fucking store of cake. And then you do that and you're like, okay.
Well, that's
That
weird.
might have been
Yesterday,
too
I thought
much.
I was done with the cake. And then this morning, I was like, nope, not done with the cake. Thought I ate too
Yeah.
much yesterday. Nope, not done.
That's completely fine. It's all temporary. It's all ridiculous. It's all so silly. And it's like someone eating cake for breakfast is hilarious. It's actually hilarious. It's not this like dark, sad thing. I mean, it kind of is, but like mix the other color. It's funny because it is sad at the same time. It's all those
Why
things.
is eating cake for breakfast sad?
It's just funny. It's not, I mean, it can be.
Because it's so much sugar?
It's just like, no, it's just like someone's eating cake for breakfast.
It's amazing.
It
I
is
think that's an
amazing.
amazing thing. That's like rainbow Lucky Charms land for me. I'm like,
Yes.
cake for breakfast every day, please. I don't think I will ever get sick of cake for breakfast. Maybe.
Really?
I don't know, dude.
Really?
It's like a deep
Maybe
like,
you won't.
desire that
Maybe you
I
won't.
like.
Let's find the bottom
I'm
of that.
actualizing.
Let's
And
find
you
the
know what?
bottom of
Today I
that
was like,
hole.
maybe I'll gain a shit ton of weight. Maybe I won't. Bottom line is, I don't really fucking care.
Maybe you won't. I found my weight gain has not been linear. It's been entirely linked to this energy sort of thing.
Of freedom and restriction.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right, man. Actually
What
processing it.
we're doing here is we're truly allowing ourselves to. This is what I've been doing lately, guys. Is that I'm honestly allowing myself, all you selves, to realize that quantum reality is the true reality, meaning that all of life is energy.
Yeah.
So, and it's hard though, because the majority of people have these rules they live by, right?
Mm-hmm.
Olympic athletes or people who are athletes or people who are certain body types. They're like, I eat this way.
But there's way more variance in that than you would think. If you actually
Right.
look
Well, you're
into
in a perfect example. I have somebody living with me that is a perfect example of this variant that eats literally whatever they want, stays the same weight. And it's like, yeah, you have a fast metabolism and you have this and you have these chemical things in your body that do this and you have these genes and that and that and that. But is really that what it is? Or is it energy?
Mm-hmm.
Is it an energy that determines the shape of the genes and the metabolism?
Right.
Is it an energy that an emotion that you hold inside of you that determines how things digest?
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm just playing with it. I'm allowing myself to play with it. And I'm also allowing myself to not really care what happens.
Your body is like a fractal that blossoms forth from the energy that you hold, from the whole of your being, the whole energetic sum of your being and all the emotions and all the things that you feel about yourself and the world, and truly everything is yourself. That's your body is like this fractal growing forth from that, and as you change that energetic signature, that beautiful tapestry of feelings and conceptions and everything that you think yourself to be and feel yourself to be, that expression changes as the cells replace themselves. Things are in your body always dying and replacing themselves, and pretty quickly you're something new.
Isn't a fractal just the Fibonacci? Fractals are Fibonacci, right?
There's
Fibonacci is just the spiral of the universe, right?
It's one kind of fractal. You can have all sorts of kinds of fractals. Fractals arise from mathematical equations. So there's all sorts of different fractal patterns that can exist. It's a calculus thing. So you put in an equation, and that calculus equation creates a pattern. And Fibonacci is one of those patterns. It's just the spiral. Fibonacci is just a spiral.
But aren't all these patterns, don't they all go back to the spiral?
Yeah.
They all go back.
Everything's a spiral.
I think that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is that everything goes back to the spiral.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so everything you're talking about with your body being a fractal and your consciousness being a fractal is really this energy. Whatever you put into the spiral is what will come out.
Sure, yeah.
The seed that you plant, but the spiral never is always evolving.
Yeah.
So you can at any time plant new seeds, but it will sprout. The spiral will sprout from that seed.
Right.
So if you have a belief system that is your fractal, your spiral will come from that belief system, right?
Right. And the spiral's ever like coming. Imagine the spiral's constantly like it's like right here, right in front of your face, and as it grows, it's coming towards you, and the older parts of the tail of that spiral are going into the distance, right? They're increasing into the distance as the spiral grows in front of you.
And
And so like those old parts of your being, I suppose, are probably always a part of you in some way, but it's always going, and they eventually fade into the distance as a new pattern grows, you know?
Well, and I've been having a lot of dreams about snakes lately, and serpents have been in my consciousness, and you know, the serpent is the ultimate symbol of the spiral, and it's the ultimate human symbol of our consciousness rising. It's the spiral undoing itself and rising up into the different chakras of evolution, right? Yeah, so all of this is connected to me in some sort of awakening, and that's what the serpent truly represents in the East. And then the East, the serpent is awakening. In the West, it's evil, right?
Well, in the West, it's the light bringer. The serpent is misunderstood. The serpent is Lucifer, which means light bringer. You know, the serpent is the one that gives Eve the knowledge of good and evil.
You're always talking about the devil. He's always talking about the devil, and because you're of Capricorn moon.
Sure, yeah.
You have a lot of Capricorn in your chart. You have 3 planets in Capricorn, including your moon. Alex is all about the moon sign because he thinks that's really true people's energies, right? Yeah. My moon is Aries. Yours is Capricorn. Capricorn is the cardinal Earth sign. It's Saturnian, Satan. It's ruled by Saturn, and it's the devil archetype in the tarot, and you're really about reframing the entire archetype of the devil. Tell me about that some, because you talk about the devil a lot.
Well, if you look at the devil card in the tarot, the goat on there actually has a smirk on its face, as if he's joking, as if he has humor about something. You think about something, like someone's bedeviled by something, there's something like fucking with you. You know, the devil is really just this thing that like fucks with you until you give up, until you give up your ego. Demons and devils and all these things are considered teachers in some tradition, because what they are these things that, like, when you're getting an ego, when your consciousness is crystallizing on some sort of ego, they come in to be like, oh yeah, motherfucker.
Yeah.
That's what the devil is.
Until you lighten up.
Until you lighten the fuck up. Yeah.
Well, the devil is lived spelled backwards.
That's why he's the light bringer. Lighten up.
So, why is it seen as evil?
Well, we could see that around us right now. I mean, comedians are thought of as evil a lot of the time right now, especially the ones talking about the darkest subjects. It's when someone is wounded, they see the devil as evil. Seeing the devil as evil is coming from a wounded state of being, because he's causing them pain. He is causing them pain, but it's pain that is actually carrying within themselves that he's trying to get them to release. Like a masseuse, right? A masseuse coming in and is like, let's just work this out. Let's work this thing out. And it hurts. It hurts to get massaged and have those knots worked out and stuff. And if you're coming from a wounded place of being where you're just focusing on the pain, then you're just like, oh, this person is fucking beating me up. This is evil, because pain is evil. Pain is seen as evil, instead of pain being seen as a sign of healing, right? I think that's why. I think that's ultimately what it comes down to, is seeing pain purely as an evil thing rather than recognizing pain as just a feeling of change, of growth.
So why is it in the tarot like, because I was always, I mean, I get it, but I don't on some ways too. Like, in the tarot, like they're always like, you know, the devil is what bedevils us. It's this quality of mirth. It's this quality of enjoying life's pleasures. Pan, right? Why is pleasure and enjoying the beauty and the goodness of life, and Pan, it was the sexual creature, the horny goat, the horny devil, enjoying sex, right? All these things and enjoying life's pleasures. Why is that connected to evil?
Well, think how mad you got with me when you felt you needed to restrict yourself. You felt like you needed a diet, which I was like, fine, yeah, have your diet, but you couldn't just have your diet without being mad at me for being able to indulge in everything. It upset you that I allowed myself to indulge in all these devil-like things.
Entitlement.
It set you that I felt entitled to. It bedeviled you. And that looks evil to you because it hurts you, because it reminds you of the box that you're forcing yourself to live in. It reminds you, and it feels unfair. It feels unfair. And I think that's ultimately why it's connected with evil, because when you're boxing yourself in and you feel afraid, you need to control things. You need to create a box. And when you see things that are uncontrolled and just being light and levity and having fun and enjoying the world's pleasures, that becomes your enemy, because it reminds you of your own box, of your own pain, of your own fear. And you're like, if everyone just lived in my box, it would be fine, and I wouldn't be reminded of this.
But at the same time, the devil archetype is linked to Saturn.
Sure.
Saturn is the sign of the planet of boundaries. Right now you're talking about, because that's the whole thing with the devil. We just watched the witches.
Well, Saturn is the planet of karma.
Saturn is the planet of karma.
And in the Greek story, Saturn, like, is it Saturn who gets his, or is it Uranus who gets his dick chopped off? Someone gets their, no, it's Uranus. Uranus gets his dick chopped off and thrown into the sea by Zeus, so that doesn't work. But anyways,
it's
that's
just
these
there's contradictions, and there's paradox inside of all of this. It's interesting that
I think it just comes from misunderstanding over time, from humanity's collective wounding.
Yeah.
If I reflected on the Saturnian legends a little bit more, Saturn is like the father archetype, is like the teacher. He's like the old man being like, listen here, young man.
Yeah, which you do.
Mm-hmm.
From a perspective of non-ego.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you truly embody that energy, like so deeply, because you're both the things. You're like the devil energy that's like, eat the fucking cake, let's have sex, and then you're like, sitting me down and talking to me about my ego like yesterday, in this very Saturnian way,
Yeah.
It's like the boundaries with having no boundaries. It's like the boundaries of ego death.
Energetic boundaries is what it really is. It's not going too far in the direction of like indulging in darkness.
That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Ding, 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 ding.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And that's why Capricorn is the sign that reaches the highest heights on the material plane, because they do not allow themselves to be taken down.
Right.
By negativity. They hold the boundary. This is it. This is the entitlement. This is why they're at the top.
Yeah.
This is it.
That's why the 10th house is noon.
That's how they're different from Virgo, because Virgo's like, oh, I need to help you. I need to be on your level. I need to da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Although Beyonce's a Virgo. She don't do that.
Everyone's got.
I'm a Virgo.
Everyone is the whole chart, truly.
Everybody is the whole chart.
All these
exactly.
Within themselves, and it's just a tapestry.
Yes.
Of energy.
Yes. Oh, so it's the boundary. It's the energy. It's the energetic boundary. It's the energetic boundary.
Right.
This is very helpful.
It's interesting to think about that whole Capricorn being the noon sky thing, and how the signs change, or the houses change as they get closer to the Earth's boundary. Like, I think, like, we get Capricorn, then we go shift a little bit further, we go to Aquarius, we go to the 11th house, which is getting closer to Earth, and it's a little more humanitarian than Capricorn is, right? A little bit more like, how can we create structures to help everyone? Then we go one tick further, and we're in Pisces, which is really empathetic and feeling of the human realm, right? Feeling even more so. It's right on that cusp.
Paradoxically, both of those are not, though. Aquarius 11th is all about the visionary. It's way beyond it's collective, but it's not human. And then Pisces is like everything and nothing.
Right.
It's pure etheric.
Right.
It's all paradoxical. It's always the opposite, including in itself. But yes, I see what you're saying, because of the The thing about Capricorn that is so incredibly unique, because it's the earth energy at the highest point.
Mm-hmm.
So it's earth energy at the highest point of the chart. You'd think the highest point of the chart might be something like air or water, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's earth at the highest. So it's how can earth actually be at the highest?
Right. Well, it's completely above the woes of the earth, the seriousness of the earth,
of the darkness.
Yes.
Because you can't climb to great heights if you remain in the darkness.
Right.
You can't have levity. You can't have light. You can't build new structures. You can't build new things.
Mm-hmm.
You can't create new worlds in the dark.
Yeah, and Stephen Forrest talks about these almost hermetic traits of Capricorn, right? His example is like, I don't know, like the musician who just plays in the community orchestra, but he's like almost in his own little world of like, this is what I enjoy. You know, Capricorn almost creates its own world around itself.
What do you mean by that?
Well, oh man, we should pull out could grab the book really quick and just remind me of this story that he relates. Hold on. I got this. Pisces, Capricorn, the symbol. Okay. Endpoints. Ambitious, materialistic, power hungry. The faceless gray flannel Capricorn of popular literature is a sly devil indeed. Calculating, manipulative, quick to exploit any weaknesses, he is typically represented as the epitome of slick, insidious opportunisms. Such descriptions are fair pictures of Capricorn's shadow. Right, it's the shadow side of Capricorn, but they have little to do with its end point. It is true that the sea goat symbolizes worldly power, but that does not mean money. It does not mean having your face on the cover of Newsweek. So many seemingly powerful people live their lives as hostages, bound by the strictures of their public roles. Their role has worldly power, they don't. And that is not the sea goat's path. For Capricorn, worldly power has a different meaning. It does not signify glory. It signifies freedom.
Bam!
In the arena of the world, the sea goat must act only according to the dictates of his essential character, the marriage of one's nature and one's public identity. That is Capricorn's endpoint. It is the oneness of the inward and the outward, proven and expressed in the forum of society. And the word Capricorn is a symbol of integrity. So go down a little bit here. Oh, I should just read this whole thing. It's just 3 more paragraphs. In the sign's highest expression, there are no lies and no pretenses, only a flawless mating of visible public behavior and invisible personal essence. One's job and one's life become indistinguishable. The two are one. To accomplish that, the sea goat must be utterly immune to applause. He must never play to the crowd, although his work, being public, must invariably be executed before a crowd. Should he get hooked on social approval, everything is lost. Yet he cannot flee from it. Those clapping hands are always there, tempting him, flirting with him. To avoid the seductiveness of power, Capricorn must become a master of solitude. That's what I was talking about, the sort of hermetic nature of it. The point is not that he must spend time alone, although that is a legitimate strategy. The point is that he must seek approval within himself. To succeed, he must become indifferent to success and failure, to praise and vilification. He must stand alone. Capricorn's endpoint, integrity and solitude. Both must be attained, for if one fails, the other collapses with it.
That's it.
Right.
That's it. So it's that. It's what did he say? Abstain from vilification.
Mm-hmm.
So that entire thing where people are projecting their darkness onto you, you don't absorb it. That's what it was when I read that devil card in the tarot. That's also what it says.
Right.
It's like rejecting the projections of others, the dark projections of others.
And we were talking about the devil as this thing that just enjoys in whatever pleasures he pleases.
Mm-hmm.
There's this short little passage here. This is what I was talking about with the musician playing in the community orchestra. It is the sea goat must select a public role that expresses his own personal values, interests, and whims. His own whims. Perhaps that role is a job, perhaps it is something voluntary. Maybe it is a public service, maybe it is just a personal predilection, like playing the clarinet in a Dixieland band. Whatever form it takes, people may cheer him, hold him on awe, call him master, or they may write him off as a washout. No matter, Either way, the sea-goat must remain as indifferent as a galaxy. All that counts is whether he is being himself. Boom.
Boom.
Drop the mic.
That's
the
good.
devil.
That's good.
And the devil bedevils people who aren't letting themselves follow their own whims.
Right.
Are you going to pull out the tarot handbook?
I just want to read a little bit about the devil in here because
Yeah.
This is interesting. All of these things are very interesting. Don't you guys all think it's very interesting?
Oh.
I think he's 15, the devil. Yeah,
He's
he's 15.
15. 13 is death.
The principle of mirth humor at what bedevils us. The devil Pan archetype represents the need to face whatever we might consider our bedevilments or problems. With the tenacity of Capricorn, the humor of Pan or Bacchus from Greek mythology, we can face and move through our bedevilments, the webbings on the sides of the card, with sure-footedness, with mirth and humor. The symbol reminds us that if we take our problems or bedevilments too seriously, they can ensnare us and take us off balance.
Mm-hmm.
The devil Pan symbol represents the need to hold on to both the qualities of mirth, stability, and our centeredness in facing real or imagined problems so they won't be thrown off balance. Yeah, and then in the end of the book, they have those little things that tells us. I thought that was really interesting how it was like, the Joker worker stabilizer, one who is determined to see things clearly in the external environment and take appropriate action, gifted in protecting oneself from judgments or viewpoints projected by others.
Mm-hmm.
The quality of mirth, ability to laugh at oneself, capacity for working hard and playing hard. So, yeah.
Ability to laugh at oneself.
Bringing light.
Mm-hmm. The light bringer. Lucifer is the light bringer.
It's so wild. I wonder if, I don't know anything about, Christianity really, but I wonder if, the devil was actually not bad in the original teachings.
There's a lot of Gnosticism that purports that as essentially Gnosticism.
Because it's just beyond non-duality, right?
Right.
Because really, if we're going into it, I think that's what happened with religion, right? It just became super dualistic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is what created all this power.
Well, it became an inversion of itself.
Right.
You know?
So originally it was like there's this darkness and the Lucifer brings light to the dark. It enters into the dark. So therefore they took it as Lucifer was the dark and was the evil thing, when really it just entered into it to transmute it.
Right.
Which is how that's how it relates to society now, right? So people, this darkness, this fear, which is evil. I think evil is just fear.
Yes.
Right? Like Hitler was just really a scared dude, right?
It's also live backwards.
Right.
It's the opposite of living.
Fear is the opposite of living.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So if we bring all that to this current point in time and we take all that light and we say, okay, this is the evil, the fear, we bring light to it. We're just laughing at it and it loses its power. It just fades away. But there has to be there has to be a shift in the consciousness where people start having levity. It's like that. It's like we were watching, I keep thinking, because we watched this great movie called The Witches of Eastwick recently, where Jack Nicholson plays the devil, and it's fucking so good. That movie's amazing. But I just remember when they were like one of the women fell off this thing. She fell off this huge balcony, and they were like, laugh. And so she's falling and she starts laughing and she doesn't die.
Yeah.
You know, she's like all of a sudden starts floating. It's kind of what I feel like is happening. Like you just gotta start either you kind of go deep into the pit or you just start kind of laughing.
Right. Right.
And then when you start laughing, it's weird because even, they have laugh therapy and stuff, but even lately, like this morning, you and I just kind of started the day off just laughing about all kinds of shit. Just laughing about everything and making jokes about our pubes and stuff. Yeah. Just laughing about really, really stupid stuff. And it just like, I could feel it in my body. My body just feels better. Yeah. You know?
And I don't know if this was Anita Morgiani or
Morgiani,
someone else.
Morgiani.
Sorry, Morgiani. I don't know.
That's all right.
Morgiani is more
Morgiani
Italian.
is Italiano.
No,
She's an
it's-
Indian though. She's from a Hong Kong Indian, so it's Morgiani.
Someone with near-death experiences was talking about like seeing souls leave their body, and every one of them as they left their body were just laughing, right?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like either you laugh and you give up and you laugh in this lifetime, or you laugh in the afterlife. At some point you're gonna laugh, and you just get to choose when and to what extreme you take it.
Yeah.
That's the choice that you get.
And really, the laughter is the dissolution of the ego.
Yeah. We were
It's-
talking about how it's funny, like when you're laughing really hard, you say like, "Oh, you're killing me."
Yes.
Laughter is the death of the ego.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so. That's been the paradox for me, because Alex will be like, "Freaking lighten up," and I'm like, and I'll like enter into my energy, and I'm like, "Why am I waging a war to not laugh right now?
Yeah.
Why does my ego feel that I need to wage a war to not laugh? Like, that is the worst. That is the dumbest argument I've ever heard of in my life.
Mhm.
Where somehow I end up in a dark room with my arms crossed around my chest, being like, "No, this is serious, and I'm gonna stay constipated in this dark room. I'm mad." You know, and Alex is like, "Giggle, laugh it out."
What's funny is you have to tell me the same thing sometimes.
Yeah, I do.
It's weird. We just always flip.
Such silly little egos.
Yeah.
Silly little egos.
Oh, that's why we're such good partners.
Yeah.
We're always.
Well, we started the day out yesterday with me telling you to lighten up, and then we ended the day with you being like, giving me
Lighten
this
the
lecture.
Yeah, dude. I was like, lighten the fuck up. It always flips.
But
It
we
always-
have enough humility where we listen to each other. Our egos have been dissolved enough now where we like, fuck, you're right.
Yeah.
All right. I'll listen. I bow to you, master. That's what's beautiful is I'll be like, I bow to your feet, master. And then you do the same to me. I bow to your feet, queen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but we both grovel at each other's feet and we become the kings and queens. And then we like do the opposite.
It's
great.
And then we come to this point where we rule together.
Together!
Together we will rule the galaxy.
The galaxy! Chub squeeter!
Chop squeet. Oh.
Oh! To the bakery!
To the bakery. All the cookies. Bring me all the cakes.
Yesterday I was like, I was like in such a bad mood, and I was like, I want some cake.
You were in such a bad mood, and you spent all the day like you're like, I can't eat like this. You're so mad. It's so easy for you to eat however you want, and I can't.
Yeah.
And then
I was
you
like,
just
I want cake.
Yep.
And I was like, where do I go, Alex? And Alex was like, of course. He knew exactly where to go.
Yeah.
And he's like, go to this one bakery. And I went. It was like freaking fat kid heaven.
Yeah.
Every kind of cookie you could ever desire, every single kind of cake you could ever want. It was like Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
They had biscottis. They had everything you could want. Everything, a Danish pies. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I got a piece of red velvet cake, and I got a piece of German chocolate cake, and I got 3 different cookies.
It was ridiculous.
And Alex freaked out when I came home.
I got such a
and he
sugar
was like,
rush.
and he was like, I love you so much. And he was eating the cake and the cookies. Like, this is the most ridiculous cookie I ever ate.
Oh my!
And we
They
were
were.
laughing.
It was.
We were laughing and laughing and eating the cookies.
Oh, this thing was covered in white
It's not
chocolate
evil.
and pralines.
It's like it's yeah.
No.
It's okay, guys. You can have a cookie. You can have a piece of cake sometimes.
Yeah. It's
Do what you
okay.
want.
It's okay.
Let yourself do it.
Don't judge yourself. Don't judge yourself. Don't judge anything. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
It's not worth
Lighten
it.
up.
Lighten up. Feels good.
Feels
Feels
great.
so much better. And then you can do so much more for the planet.
Yeah, and even if you do get a tummy ache, laugh about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, fuck it.
Laugh about your tummy ache. Like you ate too much.
If you gain a pound, laugh about it.
You drank too much, you have a little bit of a hangover, whatever overindulgence you have, and just like, oh, I'm ridiculous.
Yeah, the previous me would be like, I am the biggest piece of shit. How could I have done that to myself?
Yeah.
I'm gonna squeeze myself and sit in this closet. Chastise me, whip me, hang me.
Yes.
No, I'm like, I'm gonna go sleep in this bedroom by myself and have this tummy ache and
Self-flagellation to the extreme.
No, I'm like,
and I'm like, just come out.
I'm
and
like,
have
I'm
fun
gonna
with me.
go on a walk and enjoy the mountains, and it's 107 degrees outside, and I don't care.
Dude, I love the heat. I love it. So it's so funny to me being here, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's so hot. I hate it so much." I'm like, dude, I fucking love this sun. I love it so much.
Oh, Christ Almighty! That's it.
That's it.
Christ and the devil are actually the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Christ is the light bringer. The devil is the light bringer.
Yep.
It's so weird because my whole life, it's so funny because we're kind of coming full circle, because I think the last episode we talked about my nightmares. My nightmares originated, actually, the original origination of them was fearing the devil.
Mm-hmm.
And now I live with him.
Yep. You sleep next to him.
I fucking sleep next to the devil. He's inside. He's literally inside of me now. So I'm just gonna surrender.
Roll with it.
I'm rolling
Surrender.
with it. Hi, Lord and Christ and Lord and Christ. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks, Galax. I was gonna call you Galax. Galaxy.
Galaxy. I love it.
Thanks, Galaxy.
I am Galaxy.
Galaxy Man.
Call me Galaxy.
Okay. Galax. I'm gonna call you Galax.
All right.
Gaelic, Galaxy, whatever.
Whatever.
Thanks for all your amazing points of light that you brought to the table today. This was great. Thanks for all your help. I was telling him last night, I was like, I don't think any healer has ever helped me this much in my entire life. So what he did for me yesterday. I feel really, really grateful. I feel so happy. I feel so happy to be doing this podcast with you. Really, really, really happy. I feel really a lot of gratitude. Our life is damn good.
Life is dope.
Keep asking myself, what do I do to deserve this? I'm like, oh, I'm just alive.
Yeah.
I'm just allowing myself
Congrats,
to receive.
Dude.
Thanks.
Congrats on the birth.
Thanks, man. You're a big part of it. Thanks for helping me along.
Yeah, you too.
Opening up my tight butthole.
So
all
tight.
Of it, all of it.
Tight butt.
Yep.
Tight ass.
Tight digestion. All of it. All right. Any last words, Alex?
Chill out. Have a good time. Laugh at yourself.
Life is meant to be lived.
Life is meant to be lived. Life is meant to be laughed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Word.
All right.
All right.
Love you.
Love you all. Bye.
Bye-bye.